Hello, everybody.
Hello, friends. How's everybody doing?
Hopefully, everybody's doing well. I'm
We
doing
hope so.
good. How are you?
I'm good.
I'm loving this fro you got going on.
Well, thank you.
It's been a long journey trying to get this hair back.
Oh, God.
I know. I love hair, yo. I love hair, and she cut her hair.
Yeah,
She
he
had so much hair, and
does.
she cut it. But now here we are trying to grow it back. But I'm liking it. I'm liking this little fro.
Don't
So
make me sound so wicked. I
she's
cut my hair because it was all damaged. But he's not going to tell that part.
that's what. Sure, we'll go with that. We'll go with that. Anyways, we hope you guys are doing good. Before we get started, as always, we always want to remind you guys that this is a place where it is safe to share testimonies and to talk about God and your life and everything that is happening. This is Testimony and Blessing podcast, and the whole purpose of the podcast is to share our testimonies, and we hope to bring other people on as well so they can share their testimony, because we believe that our testimony, your testimony, could be faith building for somebody else, where people should know about what God is doing so it can encourage them and kind of build them up in their faith and in their walk in Christ. So if you haven't already done so, please subscribe and like our videos so that way we can continue to grow our channel, and our videos can get out to more people so more people can be encouraged. So if anything we share resonates with you in this video and the previous video, if you haven't watched the previous one, you can go back and watch them as well. Please share. So this is what, episode 2,
Yeah.
and we're excited in this journey. It's been a lot of learning
Yeah.
and testing and everything, but we're here. We're not letting anything keeping us down, so we're here. Yeah. What did we leave off last time?
We were talking about. I have. I have very bad memories, guys. So bear with me.
I think we
I
had
don't remember
just
exactly where we left off, but I remember we were talking about. We were kind of like concluding the first calling that we got from God, and we
yeah,
say no, and how He took us on a journey
yeah, yeah.
to bring us back to His will.
And that journey continued for months. If you guys recall, if you watched the first video, then you know that we started. We got the call to move, and we said no. And I started reading the Bible finally in August of 2022. And then that kept going for a while, and we both remained consistent in our walk, where you were doing your regular reading and prayer and devotion by yourself, and I was doing by myself. And then we would come back to one another and kind of discuss the Bible and stuff like that, but we would always watch sermons together
Yeah.
and take notes, and so that way we were being fed by the same voice, getting the same message, so that way anything that was told to me or I felt convicted of, she also felt convicted of. And that's how it went for a good amount of time. And I remember, again, I gotta pull up receipts. And I remember, so a month later in September, we were, so at that point we're part of what then was Relentless Church online,
Yeah.
and we were following, and we became part of the church online, and we were watching. And in September, Pastor John had a series that he was doing called Moving Day.
Yeah.
And in that series, I remember A lot of it. And it's funny because sometimes you'll be going through something and you hear a word that speaks exactly to either what God is telling you or something you're going through. And for us, our second conviction came from that series,
Yeah.
and he was like literally like looking at the screen and like some of you God is telling you to move.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of you that are watching online, God is telling you to move. To, yeah, specifically, God is telling you to move to
Yep.
be part of the church. And we were like, okay,
We were like,
we heard that.
we're like this sounds familiar because we said no, and obviously again we didn't know why God was telling us to move, and but because we're part of the church, and we're like okay, that resonated with us and we felt convicted. So at the time, and that whole series, we kept watching, and we didn't really make a decision at the time. We went and pray, as we always do, and we continue to pray and focus on the Lord and try to, get a closer relationship so we can, continue to hear His voice. And that conviction came, and I remember feeling there was a weight that was lifted off of me, and that weight was because I was so focused for so long on my career, as a fashion stylist, as a fashion creative, that's all that mattered. And when I said no the first time, it was because a large reason, a part of it was because of that. And I was like, yo, there's nothing in South Carolina. I'm not doing that. Right. And the second time when the conviction came, I had already been walking for a month now, consistently in the Word. And He was changing my mind, changing my character, changing my thinking, changing my mindset, and kind of building me up for
Right.
that moment.
Right.
And it didn't take long. A month later,
Yeah.
He came knocking again. And we felt convicted. I remember one morning, I woke up and I looked my wife straight in the eye
Yep. You were getting ready for work.
and I said, if I never work a day in the fashion industry or do anything fashion related,
I'm okay.
I'm okay with it. Like if
Yeah.
I never work a day or do anything fashion related, I'm
Yeah.
okay with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you looked at me and said,
I said, yeah, you know what? That's it. It's time to move. We're out of here.
and you just knew.
So I think for me, like, yes, the first time when God called, we were scared and everything, but I was ready to just like do that crazy faith thing,
Right.
you know? And I was there. You weren't. And then I felt, honestly, at some point, I wasn't praying consistently about us moving. I was just waiting for God to do what He needs to
Right.
do with you.
Right.
So, like, it's almost like I was waiting for you to be on the same page as I was. Because
Right.
I wasn't praying about the move. I was like, sometimes I would think about it. I'm like, Lord, are we really moving? Like, I would think about it and, kind of like ask the question. But it wasn't like, like, Lord, like, show me if we need to move. It was more like waiting for Him to, like, help you get there.
Yeah.
So when you came out and said that, for me, it was just like, okay, confirmation.
Yeah.
If you're willing to put your dream career aside, for God's will to be done in your life, that's when I was like, okay, this man is ready. And it was just like, okay,
Yeah.
that's where we're going.
And I remember feeling like, yo, what just happened?
Yeah, yeah,
Because I didn't wake up, planning on saying anything. but I don't know what happened that night. I don't know if I had a dream. I don't know. I don't know what it was, but I remember from that conviction and
Yeah.
watching that series and praying, that weight been lifted of, it's not about chasing this. It's not about this. It's not about that.
Right.
It's about me and my will for you. And I had no idea what that will was, but I know walking with him for that month taught me obedience.
Yeah.
And I said, Lord, I surrender it all to you. I surrender it all. And if I never, get to have that dream, I'm at peace
Yeah.
because I'll follow your word wherever you want to take
Yeah.
me. And that just opened up the flood
Yeah.
of changes, and then the journey began even
Yeah.
more.
I also think that we had so many like beautiful moments with the Lord. Like so many different moments and beautiful moments that we've had with him, and seeing that change from what our lives used to be before and to what it was at that time, just by being consistent reading the word and spending time with God. I think that kind of built some kind of trust,
Yeah,
you know
100%.
to know that, okay, where he leads us. And I remember I used to do that a lot, if he leads us there, the
He'll
provision
provide.
is already waiting for us,
Yeah, I mean,
you know?
it's also like looking back, it's normal,
Yeah.
right? Because you don't, we didn't know anything.
Yeah.
We had no information. We're just being obedient. So of course that like scarcity mindset of,
Absolutely. Yeah.
like the unknown,
Yeah.
right? The
Yeah.
unknown is always so scary. But we said we were gonna trust him, and we did.
Yeah.
And we're like, all right. So now we said yes. Now we gotta do things different
Change
than
the
the first time.
patterns. Yeah.
So we were like, the first time we said I, and then we just sat around and did nothing. And like,
Nothing.
yo, you figure it out. So we're like, this time around, we're not gonna do that, because at that point we were a little bit more mature than the first time,
Yeah, I think
right?
we had let go of all the
That
bitterness.
bitterness of
Yeah.
like, not getting all these
Yeah.
jobs, kind of like at that point we just let go of everything.
Yeah.
And it was, it was good. And I remember, so a month after that, and again, these are my receipts, so I got to go back and look at these dates. So in October 11th, so I was doing my regular reading, which was, I read Luke 12, and I read John 9. And one of the things I wrote was, it's good. So in Luke 12, verse 22 to 34. So I wrote down, it's good to plan, it's good to work, but don't dwell on all the ways the planning could go wrong, for God knows what we need. Right? And then I said, and then John 9, I wrote, whatever you may be going through, don't complain or ask why it's happening to you. Instead, ask God to give you strength to go through the trial, and to give you perspective on what's happening. And then I made a box. See if you guys can see this. It's right here. Wait, no, right here. No, right
Yeah.
here. Right here.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can zoom in there. So it literally reads faith-based declaration of what's to come. That's literally me exercising my faith after 2 months of like being consistent in the word.
Yeah.
And after that conviction, I was like, all right, if I believe the way I believe that I believe,
Let's speak it. It's
You know, let's
it's
speak it into
yeah.
existence. And I got into the habit of just writing things down. So I wrote faith-based declaration of what's to come. Number one, we will move to South Carolina by summer 2023. That was in October of 2022. And I said, and I said the second one, we'll own a big and beautiful home. The third one, my career/business will be like nothing I've ever seen.
That for sure.
That's
For,
still me. I think
for sure.
I think that was, yes, I let go. I made peace with never, like if I never do anything. But a part of me still, is hopeful that maybe God is gonna reward me with that, once I step into His will. So I wrote it down. Again, I didn't know what was gonna happen or
Yeah.
what's gonna happen, but so, and then the fourth one was our kids will be going to school.
Yeah.
Now, let's pause on this point for a minute so people can understand why I wrote that
Yeah.
point.
They probably thinking, isn't that normal for your kids to go to school? Yes, it is.
But
Well,
for
we're gonna tell you.
us, listen, we were both working full time, okay? And
In Connecticut.
in Connecticut. And I would say we were making okay money,
Yeah.
okay money, but because I was at the time making what, 26 something an hour or something like that, 40 hours a week. And we were renting with our parents. And obviously we had two kids, but somehow we could never have enough. We were literally living paycheck to paycheck for a very long time, and every time we would take out the rent money, we would or tithing and offering and groceries and everything. There was nothing left, so we literally couldn't afford daycare.
Yeah. Forget it.
I remember there was a point where one of our friend, his daughter was going to school, and we asked him, how much is 1,800 a month?
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, that's a whole rent money. We don't got that.
No.
So and we're thankful because my mother-in-law, being in the house, we're able to leave the kids at home when we go to work, and that's how God provided, in a sense,
Yeah.
because we couldn't afford it, right? So I was like, okay, then I'm gonna write this down, and I'm gonna believe that because you're telling us to go somewhere that we don't know, like you said, you're gonna make provision. So we're believing that our kid's gonna go to school,
Yeah.
and they won't be staying home until they go to kindergarten.
Yeah.
Because we didn't really want that, because we wanted them to have some type of experience with interacting with other kids and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
And because at that point, again, we weren't going to the church, so they really weren't stepping outside to play with other kids and stuff like that. So school was the only option to do that. So I wrote that down. And then the next one, I said, we will have no worries of how things will get done.
For sure.
This is my faith speaking, y'all. And then the last one, I said, we'll play a big role in Relentless Church. And then a big sign off, in the name of Jesus,
Yeah.
with 2 exclamation
Yeah.
points.
While you were talking about, you were speaking your faith into existence, the Holy Spirit was like, no, you were speaking your faith into alignment.
Woo! Say that again.
To speak something into existence, that means it hasn't existed yet. Your word is what's going to make it happen. But Jesus already spoke everything about our lives into existence. It takes us now using our tongue and our mouth to speak it into alignment with the will of God. So that's what we did there. Like, I feel like that's why I don't like using the words manifestation, because there's a slippery, slope on that one. So, but I do believe in speaking things into alignment. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Yeah, that's what we did.
Yeah.
And some of these things they happened.
Yeah, don't get ahead of yourself. But like now, thinking back, that's why it's important. Sometimes I come back to this to remind myself of, how far I've come
Yeah.
and how God has always been faithful.
Yeah.
Because it's a reminder. So once I wrote that down, and I truly believed, I literally believed
Oh, that was your
every word
faith.
that I wrote down.
Yeah.
And from that time on, like, and I'm reading up my notes here, and everything that I was reading at the time was just literally building me, my faith, my character for where God was leading.
Yeah.
Right? Look at this. On October 24th, I was reading Mark, and I said, true obedience comes from the heart. Calling yourself a Christian means nothing if you're not committed to Christ. Don't be satisfied with being close, but take the next step and be committed. Let your actions be consistent with your beliefs. Live for Christ, even when no one is looking.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is literally what was happening in my life, in my quiet time with the Lord.
Yeah. And to add to this, meanwhile, our parents just see us as two people who stopped going to
Who
church,
stopped going to
not
church.
knowing what the Lord is actually doing in the closet with us, you know? And I know like sometimes they were frustrated with us.
Yep.
Just, looking at us just every Sunday we're just sitting at home. I mean, we're not just sitting at home, we watched it online, but they don't see anything else happening. But it was happening in the closet, you know? Yeah. I feel like most of the actions happen in the closet,
Oh
in
yeah,
the dark, in the
100%.
secret place.
Because let me tell you something. My parents, my mom would come down more often, than. But my dad, like never really stepped foot downstairs where we lived unless he really needed something.
Yeah.
So in order for them to see what was happening, they'd have to be downstairs. And at the time where I'd be coming home and do my reading, my dad was working. He comes home at like midnight, and I would do my reading around 6, 7. My mom was also at work,
He
so they
used
never got to see.
he used to catch me on Sunday mornings
Yes,
because
because you're in the
the
closet.
closet where he has his clothes, that's where I used to be. So every Sunday he would just see me consistently in the
Yep.
closet
So
in the
his closet
morning, you
was
know?
downstairs, where
Yeah.
in a hallway, and we shared the closet. It was a walk-in closet, so we had one side and he had one side, and my brother had one side. So she would go in that closet in the morning. So on Sunday morning when he comes down to get
Yeah,
dressed,
he would see
but
me.
he never saw me,
No, no,
never.
never. Yeah.
So and for a long time, if you don't know, which y'all probably don't know, but I was always seen as the rebellion kid,
Yeah.
stubborn rebellion that like doesn't listen.
Yeah. And I became a rebel because of him.
Yeah,
Courage does that. I'm joking. But
I woke you up. That's what I did.
yeah.
I woke you up. Spiritual preparation cannot be bought or borrowed. Our relationship with God must be our own. We must not make excuses to avoid doing what God called us to do. Literally, all these things were happening, teaching me about, the importance of giving faithfully,
Yeah.
the importance of
Oh,
serving, all these
yeah.
things. All this thing, this was happening between, when I started reading all the way to, what is this? November? Let's see. Yep, November. So I had bookmarked this. November 28th, I was reading James, Faith and Endurance. When your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. Three principles of faith. This is literally what he was teaching me.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I wrote, my declaration a few months prior, but he was literally still teaching me, because it's one thing to write something because you feel like you believe. It's another when are not going as well as you think they would go. Do you still have that same faith,
Well,
or do you stand on that?
another thing, even when things are going the way you believe them to go, sometimes you can fall into unbelief.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Because sometimes we pray for something
And it
and
happens.
it happens and we're
You're
like,
like, did that really just happen?
did God really?
Right.
Did he really?
Right.
You know? So, God, I think the lesson of faith that God was teaching us, it was like about different aspect of our lives. Yes, we believed, okay, we started believing, okay, God is calling us to move. We're feeling confident about that. And, we're ready to take whatever steps he needed us to take. But then there was the financial aspect of it. We had a not having enough mindset. We
Yep.
were in a not having enough mindset. And I remember Pastor Rick Warren had a whole series about that. And he was talking about, the have enough mindset and not having enough mindset. And then, he was saying, he was using different examples in the Bible to show the people that lives in that live in the not having enough and the people that live in a having enough. So I had this thing where like I wouldn't give anyone anything until I feel like it's big enough. So I used to make giving about me, because if it's coming from me, it has to represent me well. It has to be big enough. When they say I give this to them, it has to be something that, I can be proud of, you know? And God had to like really work on me. I feel like that journey was very complicated and beautiful, because it's like God was taking both of us to the same destination, but he needed to work on us in different
Yep.
aspects
Separately.
separately, and also work on us in things that we had the same mindset about.
Yeah.
That we said, okay, we can do this or we can do that. There are things that it's me. It's something that is deep in my heart that God needed to uproot it. But for him, it was for sometimes there was things that we both, started believing in, and then we were like, we can't do this because we don't have enough. And then God really started shaking us and stretching us and show us that it's not about having enough. It's about trusting him with the little that we have, and he'll do what he needs to do with it.
Yep. Yep. And then in the process, so and that teaching us, separately and literally showing us what was inside of us, what we needed to change. This is, the mindset of not having enough and all these things. Came the teaching of, the giving part of, when it comes to the church. He started working on us on that, and we'll get more into that. But I remember in November, I was reading about, after I, wrote my declaration, I was, meditating on faith, and three principles that I wrote down was commitment. We must commit our mind and heart to Christ, right? Right actions, natural byproducts of true faith, and faith without good deed is useless. And I wrote, faith and action works together, and action makes faith complete. And going back to the first time when we said yes and then we did nothing, this time our faith was what was driving us because we surrendered everything. And at that point, we're like, okay, what do we need to do? Right?
Yeah.
And we had to work on our credit because, both of our credit wasn't good. Yours was terrible.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other thing, but I mean, we can briefly touch on it.
Yeah.
So when we said, okay, let's figure this out, I asked her, I said, like, can I see your credit? Sis was a little sus.
I
I was like,
was.
what's
I
happening?
I was ashamed. I think I was kind of like ashamed because I knew you would be so disappointed. And I kept lying about it too.
She kept lying, y'all.
I would give half truth every time.
And I have no idea what was
Every
happening.
time he asked, I would give half truth, or I would like, there's an issue. We can't log into my account. We can't. You can't see it, and until the whole thing just
Just blew up in
blew
her
up.
face. But that's now that we understand better, like the work of the devil and all that was all like literally holding your bondage
Yeah,
in a sense.
yeah.
Because all you
It
had to do
was.
is tell me the truth.
I mean, it was so much deeper than that, and all I had to do is tell you the truth. But because of the bondage part of it, that's what the enemy does. When you're in bondage, he doesn't want you to come to light. He
Nope.
doesn't want you to tell the truth so you can stay there. I was really like battling something that was more than just a bad habit. It was really like psychological.
Right.
I could have said that to him, but I didn't for whatever reason. I just, I just believe that he wouldn't understand. Why would he? So I just keep digging that hole and I keep, going deeper and deeper into it until God's mercy happened.
Yo, when I tell y'all, I wasn't even mad. Yo, I found out
No, you were so disappointed though.
you had like two, was it two? Secret credit card.
Maxed out.
Max.
Well, not one secret, one you knew, but you didn't know how like
Deep in
deep.
debt you were?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I was like,
I paid for it.
yo, how are we gonna like? I'm like, why? Now that we say yes, we have to do this. I mean, it was frustrating
Yeah.
because I'm like, here we are. We can't send our kids to school.
Yeah.
We don't have much, and you're just out here just balling.
You know what? You know what's so sad? When you're doing something and you can't stop yourself, you can reason with yourself, but you can't really stop yourself. Like if I'm having a bad day, buying something would make me feel good, and that's where I like I held on to that. The fact that buying, like, I didn't see how selfish that was. I didn't see how unfair that was, not just to you, but to my kids.
Yeah.
It was just like, in the moment, it was about me, how I feel, you know? So, yeah, it was, I paid for it. Because after that whole thing happened, and then he came back to me and he said he was so disappointed. I think I wished you were like just mad and lashed out and said everything that I've already said to myself. But he was just like so disappointed. He didn't say much, and then he came back and said, "Okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna get through this." And he was just so like kind about it, and I'm like, "What is?" He was graceful. Okay, that's the word, and it made me feel even worse.
But
And
what would that have
I know,
solved
I know.
of me like screaming and getting mad? I'm like, yo, at this point, I'm like, we said yes, to the second conviction of God calling us to move, we don't have time to be sitting there arguing and like, yo, we need to figure out a plan.
Yeah.
So we came up with a plan. Well, I came up with a plan.
I had to agree. At this point, whatever plan he came up with,
And now,
I had to be okay.
not having extra, we had to literally squeeze whatever we can
Yeah.
to pay off 3 credit cards. But you know what?
By the grace of
By the grace of God, we made it through. Because we needed, that was like the first thing. You hear about, buying a mortgage, you need to have, at least
Yeah.
decent credit.
Yeah.
So I knew, this time around, like we need to do something. And so we just started working on that and, got it, kept trying to, little by little, little by little, little by little. And by the grace of God, like you said, we're able to get it to a good standard.
Yeah.
And,
I kind of got delivered too from that thing.
yeah. I mean,
That
literally,
that
once you have
kind
to
of broke.
open your
Yeah.
mouth, yeah.
Yep.
Because that's the thing with the enemy, right? If you have a sin that you're dealing with, right, and or you have the secret that you're keeping because you're feeling ashamed, that spirit of shame,
Yeah, he's
all
gonna
it
keep
wants
you
you to
there.
do is don't tell people because they're gonna see you this way. Don't
Yeah.
tell people because you're gonna be ashamed. They're gonna be ashamed of you. Don't tell people that this is like literally the lies of the
Yeah.
enemy in your ear.
Yeah.
And what we don't realize sometimes is because once you accept that lie, it becomes your truth.
Yeah.
But if you literally just open your mouth and do the opposite of what it's telling you to do, that chain is
Yeah.
broken.
Yeah.
And you were being held in that bondage for a long time.
Yeah.
Until it came to where like, okay, you had no choice. But guess what? Even not having a choice, I thank God that because some people even not having a choice, they kept you could have kept digging the hole by either getting another credit card or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you made the decision, be like, okay, enough is enough.
Because I really didn't want to stay there, and I kind of saw that opportunity. You finding out the way you found out, and you giving me so much grace. I saw it as an opportunity for me to, like that was my saving grace. Because like I said, I couldn't stop myself. So you finding out and you telling me, okay, we're gonna get through this together, and we're gonna, get on the other side of it. That was like that was like my way out. So I took it.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm glad you did.
Because sometimes we're in bondage and we want to stay there. That's when we're like, okay, yeah, he can take that one. I'm gonna open another one because we like that. We want to stay there. We like that. But I didn't want to destroy my family over something so silly. Yes, you've had grace the first time, but how much more could you take?
Right.
You're a human after all. So, and then, when this whole thing, if I kept going on that path, even though you were trying to help me, when that whole thing, kind of damage my marriage or do something even worse, I couldn't blame anybody but myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had to
But I
be a team
think
player.
I think God, it kind of got to that, and I think God forgive me the grace to,
Yeah.
because it was frustrating, but I knew, okay, she's already there. There's no point of me digging you deeper, and I had to be the best version of a husband that I can be, and kind of support you in that.
Yeah, you did score some points. Damn.
So that's an encouragement right there. Like if you're going through something, or if you're dealing with something, and you feel like you're stuck,
Yeah.
don't let the enemy trick you into
Yeah.
thinking that you're stuck, because you're not.
Yeah. Seek help. Find someone
You're
that
literally one conversation
away
one
from your
phone call
freedom.
away, one
Yep.
from text away, one truth away, right? Getting rid of that secret,
Yeah.
no matter what it is. Find someone that you can trust, truly trust, right? and tell them,
And also,
because that can free you.
yeah. And that's why it's so important to always be loving. One thing I like, I know that about myself. When I do something bad, I'm already telling myself all the bad stuff.
Yeah.
I'm already like criticizing myself. I'm already banging my head against the wall. I'm already saying, how could you be this? How could you be that? How could you be so dumb? How could you let this happen? I'm already telling myself all these things. So no one wants to go around messing up their lives.
Yeah.
There's an influence that is causing that. Yes, sometimes we make bad choices, but sometimes too, there's like a hold, like a stronghold. There's an influence, and there's a word that was said to you when you were a child, and you believe in that, and you start living your life based on that lie. So it's always good, as loved ones, Christians, or who like to really embrace people with love when they messed up, because that can really help them.
Yeah.
Because I, so that's why when someone does something, I'm already thinking, okay, you probably already telling yourself all the bad things.
Yeah.
So there's no reason for me to add to it. How could you be so dumb and do that? I don't have to add to it. So I think that's what you did for me. Because I was waiting for you to like lose it. And I was so scared.
Yeah. And
You know?
and in a marriage, you should you should be there to support your wife and your husband, no matter what they're going through, no matter how painful it can be for you, right? Because that's the point. Otherwise, why be together, right? You can hurt me, but what's the point of hurting you back? And then what? We're just gonna sit in silence for a month and like be mad at each other, and then or all of a sudden you open a door for the enemy to come in. But the minute I, decided, again, by the grace of God, decided to not be mad and figuring out a way to do so, the enemy had no hold
Yeah.
on any of us.
Yeah.
And now we were able to get together and move forward.
Yeah.
So I thank God for that. But yeah. But I think we're gonna stop right here though.
Okay.
We're gonna stop right here for this part, and we'll continue probably next time. We're trying to keep the videos short, not over an hour, so that way you guys don't lose. I know your attention spans nowadays not really long,
Yeah.
but yeah,
But we do appreciate your time.
we do appreciate your time. Yes,
Sitting with
indeed,
us and watching and listening.
and we thank you for joining
Yes.
once again. We hope that we continue to see you. We hope that something we say, is encouragement for you. Again, if it blesses you, if you got something out of it and you can think of someone that can benefit from it, feel free to send it to them as well, so they can benefit from it. And, all we're here to do is to glorify God and our testimony, so you guys can see, the work that He's doing in us and through us, and how far we've come. And it's only by His grace and His mercy that we're able to be here. So we thank God. We thank you. And again, this is Testimony and Blessings. And we hope that, every time we share part of our testimony, that it, builds your faith, and encourage you in your walk.
Yes.
So don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to click on all the notifications so that way you don't miss any episodes that we be dropping. So, yeah, I think we're going to wrap this up. And until next time,
We'll see you next time, friends.
peace.
Bye.
Hey, guys, if you're watching and if you're listening to Testimony and Blessing Podcast, please subscribe, hit the notification button to make sure you never miss anything. And please share our videos to someone that you know may benefit from it. We thank you and we love you.